This is Our Rough Draft, a podcast, real talk for real relationships.
Welcome to Our Rough Draft, where we share real stories from marriage, work, life, and the adventures along the way. We'll laugh, maybe get real, and hopefully help you spark some new conversations in your own life.
I'm Denise, the wild, emotional one who loves words and big ideas.
And I'm Tim. I'm the practical level one who fixes what she dreams of.
And this is Our Rough Draft, where we share the stories we're still living. Hi. Welcome back to Our Rough Draft.
Welcome back.
We are wearing the same clothes that we had on last time. It's the same day. We're just recording 2 episodes.
Episode 2.
Of the day. 2 themes, 2 ideas, so that we have a little bit in the tank for when I'm on the road in case any technical difficulties. So we have a new topic for today.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about summer. The concept of summer is like my favorite thing in the whole world. But let's just start with, when you think about summer, what are some of the top 3 words that come to mind for you?
Lazy and hot.
Nice.
What about you?
Beach,
and more beach.
Bathing suits and beach.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball. I'm just going to stick with beach.
Bees.
Yeah.
Birds.
Beer.
Well.
Boys. Yeah. Summer is so fun. And I feel so fortunate that I went into education because we work really hard. And prior to switching careers, we worked all the time and summer wasn't a thing. And I love summer. And maybe that's why, like you talked about wanting to retire the other day, like maybe that's ultimate summer. But for me, I just love long days, hot nights, like doing it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And that is summer to me. And I get so excited when school ends. It's over.
Yeah.
And now we get to play. It's summer for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think back to, we don't have it nearly the way, we don't have it the same in Phoenix as I did in Washington. But when I think about, like I said, long, I think about summer days in Yakima. And I remember they would
10 o'clock
last
at night.
forever because it would stay light forever. We would be outside. It was the typical Gen X childhood. We would be outside until the streetlights came on. And then usually even after the streetlights came on.
People say that. And I'm like, do you live in Washington? Like the streetlights don't come on. It's so light, so late in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah. And the worst part was when you in the neighborhood had different bedtime or routines than your friends did, because I can remember many a night laying in bed and the light was coming through the window and there was people outside that I could hear. And I was just laying there trying to sleep and just getting more and more upset every single minute because I wasn't outside playing Frisbee or whatever.
What was that last thing you said?
Playing Frisbee.
I thought you said waiting for a beer.
Those 2 things don't sound anything alike.
Well, we'll run it back and see what AI thinks you said. Because
we'll find out what the transcript actually turns into. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to talk about summer. And if you could spend, 2 weeks, a month, and it doesn't have to be every summer, if somebody said you get 4 weeks off right now, I'm going to give you all the money to cover whatever you want to do. What would be your ultimate summer plan?
Ooh, that's hard. I like a lot of different ideas. So if it was 4 weeks, I don't know. It might be a matter of 1 week in different locations.
All right. Yeah.
So I think the obvious ones for me would be beach and mountains. So it would be renting a condo close to the beach in San Diego and spending literally lazy days with nothing more to do than sit on the beach, go in the water,
read your book,
drink a beer, and eat tacos.
Yeah.
And rinse and repeat the next day and the day after that and the day after that. So that would be a part. We've talked about it before. My favorite place in all of the world is Mount Rainier. So I think one obvious thing would be a week there.
What would you do there?
Well, I think there's a ton of hiking that I would do. I would go hike all the trails. I would love to eventually do the Wonderland Trail. And that's the trail that circumnavigates the base of Mount Rainier, and just camp along the way and get resupplied and just have a grand old time walking that trail. So I'd probably spend time doing that. I love the Grand Canyon. I would probably want to spend a week at the Grand Canyon.
Not in the summer.
Well, maybe then southern Utah and just
fair enough. Yeah.
Hang out in that area. And I don't know. I mean, the fourth week, I don't know. That might be a little bit of a toss up. Maybe I would be ready to go to a city and have the conveniences of a city, but I'm not sure. So what about you?
For me, I would want to, and maybe this goes to the last episode where we were talking about travel and being settled. Like, I love the idea of going and spending somewhere for the summer. It was what I did as a kid, like going to Catalina and just like settling into your place. And some of that, like the routine of going to the beach every day, doing whatever that is, canoeing, sailing, surfing, windsurfing, swimming, all of the things, kayaking, paddleboarding. I want enough time where I'm tired of being lazy and I want to do an activity, but I want the activity to be right there so I can be lazy again. So I can like kayak off the dock and like go for a little bit and then like come back and be like, the beach is still here. I'm going to lay down and just be here for right now. I think about the summer trips that I did as a kid with my family, and we would do like these big road trips, obviously, or big trips where we would go to certain parts of the country, and we would always have 4th of July somewhere. So like 4th of July in Boston or 4th of July at the Washington Monument in DC. And I loved that because we were there long enough that you kind of like knew where to walk to get ice cream, that you were just settled in that place. And then was it 2 summers ago that I went to Nantucket for a little bit? I would not want to do this on Nantucket unless somebody else was paying. But I love the idea to just ride your bike around and like ride your bike to the beach and then go grab a sandwich. But the sandwiches on Nantucket were like $80 each. So I wouldn't want to do it there because I would want it to be where I felt like I fit into. And I think about some of those days with the boys. You were working in the summer or even like the weeks that you had annual training. Like I would try and get on a ferry boat and go have an adventure. Especially if you were working, we would like go for the day and then we would always want to be back home when you got home so that we could all hang out at night. But some of that was really fun. Like just see us like walking through the streets of different little cities in Washington in our bathing suits, getting ice cream, getting on the last ferry. I hated when they changed it so that you had to have a reservation for the ferries because I think we've established that's not really my style. But I just love that, like, we are going to like rush to get on the last ferry boat as the sun's setting and try and get home. And if we don't, we'll drive around. Like, it was like just this like, oh, see if we can do it. And yeah, just that freedom that the time doesn't matter. You can eat a late lunch. You can not eat dinner. You can have ice cream. Like all of that is a part of summer for me.
I think I think you captured it really well. I think it's when time doesn't matter. Like regardless of what your activity is, it could be in the city, in the mountains. It could be at the beach. The place I don't think matters as much as the feeling of time doesn't matter. And that's what I was thinking about from my childhood. I mean, time didn't matter. I was a kid. I was out of school and I could ride my bike anywhere I wanted to. And there was literally no agenda. There was no deadlines. There was no anything staring you in the face. There was no need to get back home except, again, when the streetlights came on. So it was that
Was
freedom.
that really your rule?
I mean, pretty much. Yeah, it was. I had to check back in. Well, my version of the rule versus my parents' version of the rule are probably 2 different things. I always got in trouble because I never checked in. I was supposed to be checking in like every once in a while, come back home, let mom, dad know what I was doing, and then go off and do it again. Frequently, I didn't, and I would always get in trouble when I came home because I would be gone the entire day, and they wouldn't know where I was, and I was halfway across town with my friends on our bikes and, some random dirt lot, making jumps and forts. I don't know. Like, so, and then, maybe come back home for dinner unless we were having dinner at somebody else's house or.
Was your home base grandma and grandpa's house?
Our house. But during the week, when mom and dad went to work, we would then go to grandma and grandpa's for the summer. So yes, during the weekdays, we would be over there unless we had something else going on or we were staying with a friend. But yeah, it actually was grandma and grandpa's house, which was a far different radius because my friends didn't live there. So it was mostly on our own doing things. But still, again, that whole concept of time not mattering.
Yeah, my summers weren't like that growing up because my parents worked. My dad worked for education, but he didn't have the summers off. And so, especially when the brothers came along, they had a babysitter that they went to. And up until a certain point, I would go there too. And then I would like go to camp from there or go to swimming lessons from there. But I could ride my bike to those. But it was very much more regimented and I was at a camp or that type of thing. In the neighborhood, we would all like converge on the elementary school Flying Hills and we could ride our bikes there and we could roller skate in the halls. And then they, as we got older, locked that down and fenced them off. But we would love to do that. And we didn't destroy anything. Like we were just riding our bikes and riding our rollerblades. But we didn't have the same freedom of like just be back whenever. It was much more like you can invite somebody over and we'll be the adult in charge, or they can invite you over. And I had this one friend who lived up the street. And I always wanted to go to her house because her dad had invented this board game that I loved. I'm sure I talk about it all the time. I love this game. And she hated it. And she wouldn't invite me over because that's all I wanted to do was play that game. Like, I would love to go to Lisa's house. Lisa does not want you here.
Lisa is sick of the game and wants to disown her dad.
But yeah, it was a great neighborhood to grow up in because we would go to each other's houses. Swim lessons were a big thing in San Diego. You would have your swimming lessons at somebody's backyard pool. And so you would like walk up there when it was your time for your swim lessons and you'd see your friends and do your swim lessons and then you'd walk back on home.
That's funny.
Yeah. But the freedom that you're talking about, that like go out in the neighborhood and do things, that was Kensington where Tom lived. So I think I'm 10 years older than Michael. So they probably moved out of there when I was like 11 or 12. And then Poway was just really different. But in Kensington, there were a lot of kids in the neighborhood. And we'd go into the canyons and we would make forts and that type of thing. But I was only there like every other weekend.
Yeah.
So I missed out on like a lot of it during the week and had to like reforge those relationships. But I think our kids, when we lived in Wenatchee at least, had something more similar to what you're describing.
Yeah, I feel that same way. I think you're right. And I think, that kind of smaller town summer vibe was definitely present in Wenatchee. And the boys would go out and, they weren't going far, but they would definitely go around the block or up to somebody else's house or hang out in the lot, or they'd hang out in the house next door. Yeah. There's plenty of times when they were gone for a good amount of time.
Well, but I think that's funny that you're the one who flipped out on them then for not checking in.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not saying what I did was right. Like as a parent, I completely recognize the stress that puts on your parents. Like I know. And so I would always hope that I could break that cycle of, never awesome. Could, but it was a goal to at least know where they were and what they were doing. You'd have to catch them as they cruised by and be like, hey, where are you going? What are you doing? Who are you with? All right.
Well, I think the trick now, like looking back on it, is having good snacks. If you have the good snacks, then everybody shows up at your house because they're hungry.
That's a smart idea. Yeah. Just ply them with food. Yeah. Food is the anchor back home. Yeah. You're smart.
Not always. It was video games were a big draw in other places and whatnot. Water equipment in the backyard. When you don't have a beach, you have a lot of water equipment in your backyard. Okay, so awesome. I am in the summer mood already. Let's tell a story of Ohanapekosh. So your favorite place to go camping in the whole world. What do you love about it?
What don't I love about it? I think there's so many things. For me, so Ohanapekosh, as you know, is a campground within Mount Rainier National Park. And it still is. It is on the southeast corner of the park. So it was closer to our house and an easy drive from Yakima. And we would just go up there and go camping. And I remember as a kid, there was no such thing as a reservation system. You didn't have to reserve your camp spot. You basically just drove to the campground and drove in, found a spot, and that was yours for however long you were there. I mean, you had to pay for it still. But so I remember plenty of times getting to Ohanapekosh, driving around in the dark, not being able to find a camp spot, having to go to some other campground. So that was hugely disappointing because Ohanapekosh was my place. But more times than not, we would find a spot there. And I think what it was for me was, I mean, I think since day one, being outside in nature has been it's been my church, I think. It's the place where I feel more at awe than any other place. Like, cities don't awe me like nature does. That sense of just something much bigger than yourself. So I remember from a very early age, that was the thing. Like, I loved the big trees. I loved the big ravens that were there, like giant birds. Like, everything just felt bigger and more majestic. And so I think that was part of it. I also think part of it was about different rules applied when you went camping. You got to stay up a little bit later because you're sitting by the fire. You got to eat cool things like s'mores. You got to, I could ride my bike around the campground and just, kind of, again, be gone. And the parents would sit and hang out and do whatever. The kids would just go off and explore. And so it was the freedom of just being able to go and see all these cool things that you didn't see back home. So yeah, it was funny because I can't remember when I finally realized that Ohanapekosh and Mount Rainier were one and the same. There was a mountain there because I never saw the mountain. We went camping. We didn't go use that as a base and then go do other things. It was, you're here for 2 or 3 days and this is where you are. So
that's really interesting. And the reservation thing is also fascinating. I remember from growing up where you could get a reservation, where you couldn't get a reservation. We would go to Pinecrest and Tahoe and all these kind of great camping spots in California. And you could get a reservation. You'd have to get it like 6 months ahead of time. You have to call in for it. And we would try and get the same weeks when our friends were going to be there and just that whole thing. And then sometimes you just went to the part of the campground that wasn't reservations, or you could get there on a different day and claim the spot or whatever. And you would also have like the message board system at the front of the campground where it was just wood and clips. And you would have to write a note like, we found a spot and we're in A32.
That's right.
But nobody ever had paper or a pen.
It was always paper plates.
Paper plates and like a nasty ratty old pencil, right? So we got a pencil back there. And so you would leave the note and then you'd find each other and then maybe somebody would leave and you could move and you could be by each other. The whole camp culture was pretty amazing. There was one time, though, when we went up to Tahoe and we pulled in, and that's probably an 8-10 hour drive from San Diego. And we pulled in and we had a tent trailer and a van, and Lovell's always had a motorhome. And so we would always try and get 2 spots together. But as you know, those are different types of camping situations. So you would always have to find the motorhome spot first so that the motorhome would fit. And then we would pull into the one next to it if we could on either side. And that was great. Well, the Rasuls were also meeting us in Tahoe. And we knew they were going to be there, but we were not worried about it. But all that stress of reservations and on. We pull in, and maybe we didn't even know they were going to be there. I'd have to check with my mom about that. So Lovell's and Marstellers pull in, and we're like, Dad's backing the trailer in, and my mom's supposed to be like giving him directions so he gets it straight and level. And all of a sudden, I hear her scream, "Jacob Rasul!" And I was like, what is happening? And little Jacob, who's not little, he's just my age, is like running through the woods, and they're literally in the spot next to us. Like, we couldn't have planned it if we had tried.
Yeah, I don't think you knew they were going to be there. I think I remember the story, and as I remember it, you guys didn't know.
And then all of a sudden, they're right there next to us. I just love camping because Then you have all the food and you bring the food together and you eat. And we've gone to a Hanapakash with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
We went when we were dating. We went after we were married. We went with the children. And our routine when we were dating was very much, it was about Rainier. So it was, we'd go to Hanapakash, leave our stuff there, and then go up and go hike for the day.
Yeah.
When it was the boys, we always would take them on a hike, at least 2 hikes. Grove of the Patriarchs and
Silver Falls.
And then usually up to the mountain, I think, I feel.
Yeah.
And Hanapakash is very similar to every other campground that I've ever stayed at. It's in a national park, so that's probably part of it. But there's the loops with bathrooms along the way, water spigots along the way.
The amphitheater.
Always an amphitheater. Always the little ranger station where you can go do junior ranger stuff. The big cutout of a tree that shows you like
the cross section of the tree. Yep. That's a staple.
The tree is. We just saw one of those when we were in California.
Yeah, Big Sur.
Yeah. But it was,
and Big Sur also had the amphitheater too.
It did, for sure. But that was the thing, like, what loop are you on? And the loops always were one way. Yeah, it's a vibe. It
is, yeah. And I think that for the longest time, like I said, I was like, it was Hanapakash for me. We would go other places. In fact, there was the fallback place when Hanapakash was full was American River. And there was a campground there and it was great. It was right on the river. I mean, it was a beautiful place, but it didn't have the same vibe. And I think part of it for me was I wanted to be in that national park. I wanted to be around, I wanted the amphitheater. I wanted the ranger station. I wanted everything that came along with it. So yes, part of it was about camping, but part of it was also about all of the other stuff.
American River didn't have those things?
No, it was just a campground.
Oh, it was like a public or?
Yeah, just a public campground. And so I just remember I loved the architecture. I loved the log structures of the national park. I liked the font on the signs. I liked the style of the signs. Like everything for me was there. And it was just such a happy place. I mean, I would always wreck on my bike or my big wheel or whatever, and I'd always come back with scrapes and bruises, but none of that ever dampened the fun or the enthusiasm. It was just, it was amazing.
What's your favorite camp food?
I think we were pretty basic when I was a kid. So really it wasn't until I started going camping with you that I learned about things like spoon tacos. So I think it's probably spoon tacos. I like them because they're easy and they taste really great. And then obviously s'mores. And the next level s'mores with peanut butter on them.
Yeah, for sure. It holds it all together.
Yeah, it has to be the peanut butter as the glue that holds it together. So I think probably those two things. What about you?
Well, I think we've gotten really good at pasta camping. And that felt really good. I just love eating well camping. Like something about like eating outside, it all just tastes better, whatever that is.
Well, and I think we also have learned what not to do. Don't ever buy the shake and pour pancake mix because that was horrible and there's no reason for it. We've learned the art of prepping before going to try and minimize the number of dishes. Like, you get good at things when you go camping and figuring out some of that, because to your point, it's better to eat better than to pack a bunch of junk or, God forbid, like freeze-dried food. I mean, just because you're camping doesn't mean you have to eat horribly.
Right. Yeah. So, no, we would always have really good food and like spend that time making good meals. I think about the trailer. You'd walk in and there's a little cupboard to the right and it was the canned good cupboard, and you could have SpaghettiOs or like tamales were in there. And so you could heat those up and eat those too, which was so awesome. And there was the junk food cabinet. And it was tiny, but like we got stuff when we went camping that we would never have regularly.
Interesting.
So there'd be like chips and ding dongs and that type of thing. I know she provides those things now at the house like regular, but we did not have those as a kid growing up in the house. Those are only for camping.
A little bitterness there.
Good.
Okay.
So it was just a good time. Went camping once down here by myself when I was an undergrad. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, tell that story. Well, it wasn't just camping.
How so?
When you escaped to the Grand Canyon?
No, I went camping. That's a whole different story.
Different podcast.
Yeah, I literally went camping because I missed going camping. So I got a tent and my sleeping bag and I went off in my car to go camping. And I had a reservation at this campground and I get there and I'm the only freaking person there. because it's the summer in Arizona and I'm going to die. Like it's me and 3 rattlesnakes. What? Was so hot. I was
baking inside that tent at night.
I was like, what is going on? And then there's a brush fire and I have to evacuate. Just me. Nobody else. Just like little rangers like, sweetie, I think you need to go now.
That's hilarious.
It was so bad.
That was the easiest evacuation they ever did. Just one person and the 3 rattlesnakes.
And like in Arizona, you camp different times of the year, not in the heat of summer.
Yeah.
So what I would like to do, I know you want to get back up to Hanapakash, and I think that would be great. But I also think that you should see some of my campgrounds because our whole married life, we would go to Hanapakash. We haven't done Pinecrest and the Sequoias or camping at the beach. Hello, best time ever. So we need to build those in.
Yeah.
I think would be really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we did camping as a way to get away, and it wasn't expensive.
Right.
So I think, with 3 kids or 2 kids until Mason came along, it was, cheap and easy to just, go to the store, buy some supplies. We already had all the gear for the most part. I mean, we had to buy a couple of things, but it was a cheap and easy thing to do versus getting in the car, driving to the Sequoias from Washington or something like that.
Right.
So that I think that's why we spent so much time there, and because I was obsessed with the place.
And you were working still in a way that you couldn't get away as much.
Yeah, I think, and I think that was, it's interesting because that was one of the things that was top of mind for me when we moved. Well, what do I do about Hanapakash? What do I do about Mount Rainier? And I think that I think it gives me an opportunity to open my eyes to the other places. So I do want to go to the places that you went. I want to camp on the beach. I want to do all those things because there's a bunch of other great things out there. Or like when we went to the canyon, I mean, not in summer, but just an amazing place to go. So I think it's, I'm an old man, but I feel like it's taken me a while to open my eyes to some of those other things. And now my eyes are definitely open to other experiences.
Yeah. And I think there's people who are like so dead set on, I don't camp.
Yeah.
And I just want to be a proponent for camping right here. That it doesn't, I think when we were in our 20s, before we got married, it was very much like tent, sleeping bag, those really thin.
The Thermarest.
Yeah, Thermarest, no pillow, the green camp stove, and that was it. And off we went.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here to tell you, I do not sleep on a Thermarest anymore. I'm too old for that shit. And there's no need to.
No.
Like, take a freaking double high queen air mattress, set up your situation, use a comforter, have cozy blankets and pillows, have the little lighting that works so that you can be in there and you can read or do whatever else. I think that was the piece that we really figured out when the boys were little was it can rain when you go camping in Washington.
Yes. Any time of the year.
Always rains when you go camping in Washington. So your tent has to be big enough that you can enjoy the time in there when it's raining.
Yeah.
And so we just kept getting bigger and bigger tents as we had more people. But you had like the living room where you could sit and read or play a game. Not Lisa's dad's game because I never got it. But games, card games, doodle dice, whatever. And then you could go to your rooms and sleep. And that I loved that. When we went up to Utah a couple summers ago with Mason, he had his own tent, right? Because he then had his own space. And that was all good except for the days that we froze.
Right.
Because it was early June. But I love it. You can eat what you want. You can cook any which way. There's no limitations. So I think when people aren't open to it, it makes me sad because it is definitely glamping when you look at the bed we sleep on when we go camping.
Yeah. And I think there's a definition of the term camping that I think people have in their minds that isn't necessarily it doesn't have to be one thing. I think that's what you're pointing out.
And I think people like to say, I don't like camping, to be contrary.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can do it anyway. And I think that's why you've seen the rise of glamping and curated experiences in your own yurt with, king bed and down comforters. I mean, here's another comparison. It's like the people that want to put their noses up at the concept of an e-bike on a mountain bike trail,
Right.
or like, on a boardwalk. Like, you're not really biking. The purist crowd that wants to talk about how it should be done versus being more inclusive and open and saying, you don't think you like nature? Let me take you. Give me 2 days to show you nature in some form, and then tell me that you don't like it. And to try and make that experience one that will broaden people's horizons and can maybe open their eyes to the way that things could be done. I mean, there's so much to be seen out there, and it's so unfortunate that some people just don't consider it as an option.
It's so interesting that you say that. The king and queen were just here, not here, but in the US.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I think about all the time, like more than I probably should, is how sad it is for the presidents of our country to not be able to go use our national parks. Like, I thought about that when Obama was in office for some reason, maybe because he had kids, and like, you should be able to go to the national parks in the summer. Holy buckets. And that just always stayed with me. So the fact that when the king and queen were just here, they went to Shenandoah National Park.
Oh, that's great.
And I just love that, because you should, because they're beautiful.
Yeah.
And we are in a political climate right now where there's debates about what to do with our national lands. And if you haven't been there and really experienced them and gotten to see the vast beauty and the space that they take up, and how that space is necessary to see the grandeur of it all, then you don't get to freaking talk about it.
Decisions about it.
Right. Like, it is such a gift that we have in this country, that it is so naturally beautiful.
Yeah.
And in other countries, people go outside and do the things. Like, when we walked in Italy along the path of the gods, that's what people do there.
Yeah.
And the fact that there are people who have never been to a national park is interesting to me.
Yeah.
And disappointing and sad.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's difficult to conceptualize the differences in the different areas of our country, because it is so huge and vast. And you see those differences when you visit the national parks. You see the difference between a Grand Canyon and a Mount Rainier. You know, the topography, the climate, the flora and fauna. I mean, you see all of those differences, and you can experience them in little chunks throughout the national park. So it's it's near and dear to my heart for sure.
I'm excited to go see a different part of the country and have that lens. There's this beach between Mississippi and Tallahassee. I know that's a state and a city. I know. Between Mississippi and Florida that I want to go to, that they say is like teal water and white sand. So I'm going to report back from there.
That's got to be amazing.
Right? I mean, I just love that. If it's for a couple hours where you just go and like see it, or if you go and you camp, like, it's just such a great opportunity. And we barely touched on the idea of the junior ranger system and how that has supported our boys' entertainment, our entertainment, my brothers when they were little, like all along the way. What a fun activity to do. But what it really has me thinking about, and we were talking about it, I don't know, a couple podcasts ago, but like, what do we want to do? What's that 1 year, 5 year plan? The idea of like curated adult trips to cool places, whether that is in San Diego, where you get to enjoy the beach and have great tacos, and maybe spend a couple hours at the zoo, like that kind of thing, with like groups of 6 or 10 people like Susie and Jeanette are doing in Italy, would be, I think, just so much fun. Like adult summer camp, where you're not responsible for anything and you just go for a few days and you get to enjoy it. You don't have to camp. Maybe you go back to a cool camp, right? Like the Oaks. But that's your base spot. And then you get to go do these fun things. Like, I think that is such a fun way to do community.
Yeah, I think so too. That's a great idea. And that would be one that is easily accessible to people, and a great opportunity for them to experience something that maybe they haven't before, or just to relax and, to your point, not have any agenda or any responsibilities.
But could you imagine, like, if we planned an adult summer camp for the likes of Mark and Kelly and family, and everybody came? I could design the hell out of that and make sure that Mark's shoes didn't get dirty. Like, there would be a variety of things that we could do for everybody. I think that would be really fun. If somebody made an adult summer camp, I would go to it. So why wouldn't people come to ours?
Yeah, I would agree.
It would be super fun.
Worst camping moment.
Yeah.
Or worst outdoor moment. It doesn't have to necessarily just be camping, but like...
I'll tell you mine. I went to Yosemite once. I went on vacation one time with Tom and that side of the family. And we went to Yosemite and we had a cabin. And I went fishing and I got a fish and I was so excited that I put a fish in the bucket because I wasn't about to kill the fish. I didn't understand how that all worked. And I was told not to bring the bucket inside because who needs a bucket of water and a fish inside? Totally understand. And then a freaking raccoon came and ate my fish.
Yeah, that's bad.
I was so sad. I didn't really kind of understand how it all worked.
That whole nature thing, the great cycle of life.
Also, there's another story. Maybe it's not camping, but kind of outdoor moment. Ferry boat story. It's when other people are mean. We were on the ferry boat one time and it was me and the 3 boys and they pack you in there pretty tight. And we were getting out of the car to go look at the beautiful water as we made our way across. And as we're getting out, I remember saying to Cooper, hey, it's tight. And he's like, okay, no problem. And he put his hand in between the door and our door and the neighbor's car to make sure they didn't touch. And we all wiggled our way out. And the person in the car next to us came at him and was like yelling at him, why'd you ding my car, blah, blah. And I was like, he didn't. Like, he put his hand and the guy was not having it and like started to yell at me. It just like escalated so quickly. But I just think about in those moments, the people who can't like just stop, just enjoy where you are, look around. Like, there are kids doing the right thing. Like, nobody's out to get you. Like, just take a breath.
Yeah, that's too bad.
So that was one. That wasn't really an outdoor story. It was just kind of a ferry boat story.
You were in the outdoors.
Yeah, we were.
It qualifies.
We were going with our beach chairs to go sit on the beach. Yeah. I also think there's been times with like my camping experience here in Arizona where the fire came. There's been a couple of other fires that have been a bummer. Like one time we were going to Ohanapekosh and the road was closed. And so we had to detour and we ended up at Grandma's house.
Yeah.
Like, hi, we're here. Can you feed us? And she let us in and it was great. And then that last time we were at Sun Mountain, we had to leave because of a fire. So those are I don't like fire. Hard stop. I'm from Southern California. That's our biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like other people in other parts of the country worry about hurricanes and tornadoes, but for us, it's fire.
Yeah.
So what about for you?
I think, I don't know. I mean, I think about the times like, climbing. I think there's been so many amazing times that I have a hard time thinking about the bad times. I mean, there's been times where I've been caught in whiteouts, but then it gave me the opportunity. I remember once we were on Rainier and got caught in a whiteout, and it gave us the opportunity to dig a snow cave and sit in the snow cave and eat chili lime Tostitos or whatever. Like, so that was super cool. And it might have been dangerous or it could have been dangerous, but it wasn't. And it was a great experience. Or other times where, it's been such a hard slog, like going up Baker and it was foggy and all that. And then all of a sudden the fog clears and we see the sunset and then the bats come out at night. So like every bad thing I can think of has a flip side to it that, I wouldn't trade for the world. I mean, I think about the time George and I almost got lost or did get lost on Adams coming back down after we had been to the top. And I was scared. I mean, I was thinking, God, how long are we going to wander around here before we find out where we need to be? And finally, we made the right decision, went the right direction, found our way back to the trail. I think I've told you that story, the woman sitting there in her camp chair in her bikini, like we thought we were dead or something, like something.
like, how did we get here?
This does not fit with where we are. We are dehydrated. We've drank all our water. We are severely lost. And all of a sudden we come up over this ridge and there's a woman sitting there like sunbathing, just super odd. So it's things like that. Like,
yeah, I think what you're talking about though is this like tension between like it could go really wrong really fast.
Yep.
And so you do have to pay attention. And I think that like hyper awareness is something that I love about being in nature because you have to be aware.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't care. Sorry to interrupt. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care how smart you are. It doesn't care how high powered you might be in your daily life. It doesn't care that you love somebody or you're loved by somebody. Like it doesn't give a shit about any of that stuff. It's just completely objective.
Yeah. Like we've been on Rainier before where there's been a whiteout and you turn and you wait and then the fog clears a little bit and you're like, oh, I'm really glad we waited because there's a giant drop off that we just almost encountered. And I think about the people, I know it makes you stressed out when we're on a trail and there are people who are unprepared because we just know the rangers are going to have to like come to their rescue at some point, and that feels scary. The canyon's just as scary, right? Like the opposite way. And tell that story about when you were coming out of the canyon by yourself that last time.
Good Lord. So we were there it
was beginning of June 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah. So it wasn't yet as hot as it could be, but it was just the three of us, you, me, and Mason. Yeah. And I wanted to go hike down to...
You just went further than we did. We went probably 2 miles in, and you went further.
Yeah. It was down to what was then known as Indian Garden, which I think is now Havasupai Garden.
Yeah.
But it was that little green spot at the bottom, what felt like the bottom of the canyon that you can see from the top. And I wanted to hike to it and see what it was all about. So you guys turned around, I went down there and learned very quickly that to go down, you have to go then back up. And got down there, had lunch, took a little nap in the shade, and then looked at the temperature at the thermometer that they have down there, and it read 100. And so I got freaked out that I'm here during the hot part of the day and I have to go all the way back out. And that's a significant slog. And I knew well enough to be scared at that point. So I immediately packed up, turned around and started walking. Every little way, they've got water huts and shade that you can rest in. And I took advantage of each of those and then got a little bit closer to the top to the point where I was no longer scared. Like I knew that I was going to be okay because the distance between the water stops was just right to where I could drain my entire supply and then refill. So I knew that I was going to be okay as long as I kept hitting those. But then started walking and I was like, there's an overhanging section of trail that was kind of a cool like rock wall section. And I was like, this would be a cool place for a selfie and I'm going to survive and I'm going to take my survival selfie. And I took a selfie and then I was standing there, had my back up against the wall and I was looking out at the view down into the canyon. And then all of a sudden looked over to my right and coming down the hill, the steep hill, was a mountain goat that like landed on the trail and then looked at me and I looked at him. And then he started walking up the trail, like right past me. And I was like, he's going to get scared and like kick, like,
right. I've made it this far.
Kick me in the chest or something. I'm going to like die of a broken sternum or whatever. Like, this is going to suck. And I remember I had the presence of mind to at least like film him as he walked by. So like they could see my murderer as in case anything did happen. But he walked by, turned around, looked at me, and then went down the trail, or down the mountainside or the hillside on the other section, like once he got past me. But yeah, it was a close encounter with nature.
Yeah, he was probably like, why are you out here right now?
There was another one of those experiences I had when I was young. I was a teenager, and we went hiking somewhere up by Rainier, but it wasn't in the park. It was close to Rainier. And I remember we went up this trail that took us to the top of a hill, and then all of a sudden the trail ended and we just kind of like bushwhacked through all of this, kind of meadow area. And I remember we were standing there looking up at like higher hills and the beauty of it all and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden we heard this like kind of rumbling noise. And we were standing, below the crest of the hill, and all of a sudden over the hill comes this herd of mountain goats, like just thundering past. And I thought that was another time where I thought for sure I was just going to get headbutted, by those big noggins of theirs and just be splayed out on the side of the mountain. Just stood there and they all went around us. And I was like, oh my God, did that really happen? Like, it's just one of those things where, and that's, to me, that's the beauty of nature, is the possibility of what you see and what you experience. And it doesn't have to be something dramatic like that. It could be something like you just find yourself in this perfect little spot of sunshine with this perfect little pool of water next. Yeah. I mean, like you just all of a sudden find yourself in situations that are perfect.
Yeah.
In that moment, that to me is the wonder of it all. So,
Yeah. I think about the giant vulture we saw up in Utah. So big.
yeah, the creature that's almost extinct.
Yeah.
And there they are just hanging out.
Oh, that was not the vulture. You're right. It was the California condor. And it was there. It found something. It was eating it. And it was just so big.
Giant size.
Yeah. I love summer and I love summer adventures.
Same.
Okay, so I'm gone for 5 weeks. Just remember to meet me in Utah and we will have a little nature fun there.
I love it.
And then we'll have to plan like a beach camping or a SoCal camping kind of situation for later in the summer.
That'd be great. I would love that.
Yeah. What else about summer? Anything else? I think that's it for today.
Yeah. I love reminiscing.
Awesome. Okay. Well, check out Ohanapakash if you're up in the greater Seattle area. And then if you want to go to adult summer camp, let us know. It probably won't be this summer, but next summer we could totally plan one. It would be so fun.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So, all right. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for listening.